Now I'm going to make a comment here because I know Rod, and I don't know how he'll feel about this, but Rod actually had a hand in starting an organization called Notes for Notes. And to me, that is a super sneaky. You think we Christians are sneaky, Rod? That Notes for Notes things is a PhD level sneakiness. That's no midwit sneakiness here, because you would someone might imagine, why on earth would a world class making world class music studios available to poor kids in the inner city have anything to, you're not giving out food, you're not helping with rent, you're not helping. But that is so super sneaky, because what Notes for Notes sort of gives a window into is that poverty is not what so often we think it is. And that this gets back into, so to kind of go back to the ARC thing, if you really want to help people, and this has, I think, been something that happened, the Jordan Peterson moment that happened a number of years ago. What Jordan Peterson gave a whole group of people, without sending out checks in the mail like the government, was agency. Why don't you marry that girlfriend? Why don't you clean that room? Why don't you, instead of just going to work and doing the minimum thing necessary, why don't you rise to the task and act like this is meaningful? And suddenly, if you act like it's meaningful, it becomes meaningful. And there was a whoosh that happened in the culture around him, and in some ways we're downstream of that whoosh.
Well, and as you know, Paul, I'm basically operating from the principle that we have maybe permanently lost the principle. We are now subject to the principle of non-coercion. That what in whatever ways we are going to make our communities better, or the world better, or whatever, it's because we're going to have to be persuasive. We don't have the power to force people to believe things, to say things, to do things, to make sacrifices, pro-social, future-oriented sacrifices. We've basically told the multiple generations of young men that they're no longer needed, which is probably the most catastrophic thing we've ever done, because so much of a stable society depends on young men making sacrifices for the greater good, and sometimes being coerced to do so. And so, we're entering a new world where everybody's atomized and everybody is, trying to find meaning in their lives, but there isn't anybody, telling them how to do that, right? And there certainly isn't anyone demanding that they do that. So what that means is we have to find ways that are enchanting, and that help us remind us to take delight in each other, and to fall in love with each other again, right? Men and women actually taking delight in each other, parents taking delight in their children, right? And that is obviously that's an extremely difficult challenge, but it's a different challenge than trying to save people from themselves or something, right? It's a challenge of creating beautiful things, and letting the beauty of that be the thing that speaks for it.